Well, with the presidential election less than a month away, many investors are wondering whether a change in the top office will staunch the bleeding on Wall Street or make it worse. Bill Smead gives us his take on the bulls and bears. Bill Smead is founder and CEO of Smead Capital Management and portfolio manager of the Smead Value Fund. He joins us each week to demystify the stock market. And Bill, welcome back. Always nice to have you here. It's been another incredible week. I mean, we really are in the middle of a watershed moment in financial history, aren't we?
There's been about 8 of these in the last 200 years. You get one about every 20 to 25 years. The 87 crash was the last one, and it was very difficult, and people surrounded it with doomsday scenarios in the aftermath of it. But the prior 2 or 3 years, the market was very strong, so people were losing recent gains. In this case, we're not losing fat. This is digging into the bone, and it hurts a lot more.
So the federal government has tried several extraordinary steps in the last several weeks, and it hasn't really stopped the fear. And that's what I'm seeing is like naked fear. What is going to stop that from spreading?
The government's moves that are being made really won't hit home to people until the financial market participants see the effect of purchases of the mortgage securities that are going to go through these auctions. And the moment they see that, there's hordes and hordes of money out there in the hands of private equity firms and other institutional investors who, when they see what the Treasury's doing and they see what the return going forward will be from what the Treasury's doing, they will begin to fill in. And as soon as those private equity hounds come in there, then you'll see a lot of confidence from other investors seeking a profit.
It's kind of this crowd psychology. Everyone else is waiting for someone else to leap in.
Right. People go to a Seahawk football game on Sunday so they can be with 70,000 people. They don't go and sit on a bluff 10 miles away. They go to the stadium, right? So we want to be together with a lot of other people. Even in our investments, we want to be together. But there were only 2 people when they started Microsoft. So if you want to be a multi-billionaire, you got to go where there's only 2 people.
Be brave.
Be brave. Courage is a key.
On to the presidential campaigns and the election now, and the effect that it will have on the market. And do you see that there will be, a strong correlation between election, campaign, and the markets?
I love this question. I get this question a lot when I do public talks. It appears that Obama is an odds-on favorite. He is perceived to be a negative for investors by talking about higher capital gains tax rates or higher tax rates on people of incomes above $250,000. Most of the money that's invested in the United States is owned and invested by people that make more than $250,000 a year. So he is perceived as a negative by investors. So the market has gone down dramatically in anticipation of him being president. That has been involved in the decline. But a president who was very, very popular among investors, a guy by the name of Ronald Reagan, he was being elected in the election cycle in 1980, and the stock market rose as they got very excited about the prospect of him being president. But the first 2 years that Ronald Reagan was elected, the market went down terribly, and it was miserable. It was the first 2 years I was in the investment business. I was a young stockbroker. He got elected at 1,000 on the Dow, and a year and a half later, the Dow was 800. So they anticipated him being great, and then it turned sour. With Obama, they're anticipating it being sour, and
who knows?
There's not going to be any sellers left on the planet. If in fact he gets elected president, he is going to have amazing blessings attached to him. One, the economy's terrible, so any improvement is going to get attributed to him. And the stock market was terrible, and any improvement in it is going to get attributed to him. For either candidate, McCain or Obama, they have a wonderful setup. It's like taking over from a coach that hasn't won a game for 4 or 5 years.
That's an interesting perspective, because some would say, oh my God, who would want the job now? Because, that's going to be their first agenda is fixing this darn meltdown that we're in.
It took 20 years for the UCLA Bruins basketball team to replace John Wooden with a guy that's had a lot of success. You never want to follow somebody that's been hotter than a pistol.
So what sectors would be good under an Obama administration versus a McCain administration?
The drug companies have performed very poorly in anticipation of Obama getting elected, and John McCain has tried to be a populist as well, so he's kind of bashed on a lot of the same companies that the Democratic Party traditionally bashes on. So therefore, I think you can just about throw darts right now because everything's so cheap. It's all going to work pretty well, except for, again, maybe energy. I think that this transition we're making is going to hurt.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. You always have an interesting perspective. It's always good to hear from you.
You're welcome.